What's up, y'all? That is the Hag at the Churn. It's one of those great classic D-modal kind of good driving jigs that often comes at the end of a set and amps things up just a little bit. Let's break it down. If you're new here, my name's Sean. I teach Irish traditional music on tin whistle and flute from time to time. We'll break down the basic melody of this tune first. We'll come back and add in some ornaments and some variations and some other fun stuff, but let's start, as we always do, with the A part here, nice and slow. That's the first half. This is a short jig in that it's a fairly repetitive bit, and the A part is really a straight repeat the whole way through, so hopefully not as many notes as it sounds like when you first heard it. I'll play that again just because it is a repeat, and we'll make sure we got that. Here we go, nice and easy. That whole thing is the complete A part there. Hopefully you've got that. If not, go back and break it down, hit some of those tricky bits, and see if you can carry on with the B part. There is a bit more to the B part, not quite as repetitive, but still not too bad. Here we go. That's the first half. The second half does have a bit of a repeat, and then it kind of finishes a little bit differently. So here we go. And then we carry on with the A part. But let's run the whole B part all the way through, just to make sure we got it. Here we go. And just like the A part, make sure if there's any spots that threw you off, go back and work those, and then we'll carry on with some ornaments. A couple of things there. I do like to start off with a slide. You could cut those bottom Ds, that kind of double back-to-back bottom D there. Somehow I've always just found tonguing works better. It's a little quicker, and it's not quite as jarring, but to each their own. You could always do. And I am doing an extra cut there to separate those two A's. And I'll usually just cut that G. I like that because it's the top of the run, that kind of D, E, F sharp, G run that we're doing there, and it's got an interesting accent. Sort of drives it along, hitting those, what would that be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hitting the 3 and the 6. Just kind of gives it a nice little interesting punch. And then sliding back into that A when I come around for the second time. Sometimes for a variation on that A part, I'll throw in a triplet. And that is a rhythmic triplet, which I've talked about a fair bit on this channel, but if you're new here and you haven't heard me break that down before, going B, C natural, bouncing off of a G, and then into the D there. And if you do it quickly, kind of gives it a nice, interesting rhythmic punch that's a little bit different from just the basic notes, the basic melody. Sliding into the A on that B part, same as we slid into the A to start the A part. And then as I get up that scale, the highest note in the phrase, again, I'm doing that same sort of cut that we talked about in the A part. Same sort of thing there. Then we've got our first and really only roll, I think, that I do in this tune as we're coming down the scale. We've got a long note on that E. And then I'll usually follow it with a cut on the G that I've been doing pretty much every time that G comes up. Also got a triplet variation here that we could do. kind of a nice spot, and I think it balances that roll that we do in the bottom E pretty well. Then we've got that long descending run, the only part of this, the B part that's a little bit different there. Just a cut on the E in the second octave and then that same cut in the G. That's really all I'm doing. Hopefully you got something out of this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this tune. It's, like I said, a great classic standard one that goes well with a lot of different tunes, a lot of good jigs that we've been working on lately. Hopefully this should pair up pretty well. If you're interested in more of a deep dive, tabs, sheet music, flute stuff, I've got all that over my Patreon. I've got a link down below. Check that out if you're interested. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.